While standing, I would like to invite Apostle Dr. Joseph Serwada, the presiding apostle of the Born Again Faith in Uganda, to come and lead us in a prayer to commit this afternoon, this evening, this occasion in the hands of the Almighty, that He may guide us in whatever we're going to do. Apostle Dr. Serwada.
Let us pray. Father God, we, the people of Uganda that you made in your own likeness, a nation that you prepared for this day before time, on whose wings we have sailed throughout these days, causing anguish and excitement at the same time. As it became clear who was
here in Ruboa, Rweza, where the tallying and declaration of these results is going to be made momentarily. Dear guests, I wish to take this opportunity to introduce to you the commission, so that those that are in the room and those that are there watching will know who is here in front of you. And from my left, from the left, let me introduce Commissioner Peter Emorud. Welcome, Commissioner Peter Emorud. Let me introduce Commissioner Honorable Anthony Okero. Let me introduce Commissioner Dr. Simba Kayunga Sali. Let me introduce the Deputy Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Hajat Aisha Rubega. Let me introduce the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Lord Justice Byabakama Mugenyi Simon. Let me introduce Commissioner Honorable Stephen Tashobia. Let me introduce Commissioner Caroline Brightby Namario. And let me introduce Mr. Richard Kamuchababo, the Acting Secretary of the Commission. Dear distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the country and the world is waiting for the words from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the Commission. I will now take this singular honor to invite the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Justice Byabakama Mugenyi Simon, to speak to the country, to speak to Ugandans here in this room and those millions that are watching across this vast land and beyond these borders. Lord Chair, you're welcome.
Thank you, Julius. Our distinguished guests, let me start with a word of apology for having kept you waiting. We are just ensuring that every dot, every comma, and full stop is in place. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Secretaries General of political parties who are present in our midst, the official agents of all the presidential candidates who are present, representatives of political parties and organizations, the heads of national and international election observer missions, Your Excellencies, ambassadors and high commissioners, members of the Interreligious Council of Uganda, civil society groups and organizations, members of the Commission and staff of the Electoral Commission, members of our distinguished partners, the media or the press, all of you distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me on this historical day, on behalf of the Electoral Commission, to welcome you to this National Tally Center for the presidential elections 2026, which is located here at the Electoral Commission head office grounds, Luweza, Lubowa, Makindye, Sabagabo Municipal Council, Wakiso District. The Commission wishes to congratulate the people of Uganda upon the successful conduct of the presidential and parliamentary elections, which were concluded on the 15th of this month. This election has been held at a time when Uganda is marking 30 years of the 1995 Constitution, which provided for the establishment of a permanent electoral commission. The 15th of January, therefore, was the epitome of the actualization of that power. We therefore salute the people of Uganda for embracing elections as the means of determining or choosing their leaders at various levels for the next 5 years, in line with the period stipulated in Article 61, Clause 2 of the Constitution. The roadmap for the 2025-26 general elections, as we may recall, was launched on the 2nd of August 2023, and working with you, our esteemed stakeholders, and more especially the millions of Ugandans who are not able to be here, who are in the various areas of the country, carrying on with their normal, important day-to-day activities that are of direct benefit to them and their families and the nation at large. The Commission has been able to execute the various milestones under the electoral program, leading to polling or to the elections that are now underway. It's no doubt, without the participation of the people of Uganda, we wouldn't have reached where we are now. I salute you all, the citizens of this country. We are glad to note that these elections have been held and concluded as scheduled, in accordance with the roadmap that we issued to the nation in August 2023. The Commission appreciates all stakeholders in the electoral processes, including the electorate, the government, the political parties, the civil society organizations, the media, the development partners, the business community, the security agencies, national and international observers, religious leaders and cultural leaders, among others so many, for the support and the various roles you have played in your respective capacities at whatever level you are required to play your role towards the successful conduct of these elections. The Commission wishes to salute all the candidates who offered themselves for both the presidential and parliamentary elections. We wish to congratulate those candidates who have been declared as winners in the parliamentary, that is. For presidential, we have not yet declared. But for parliamentary, a number of people have been declared to have emerged victorious. We wish to appeal to all other participating candidates and their supporters to remain calm and accept the outcome of the elections. The Commission reiterates our appreciation to all the stakeholders for the responsible and peaceful conduct exhibited during the elections. We call upon all Ugandans to keep up this conduct during the period following the declaration of results this afternoon of the various elections that are going to be held in the future, especially the local government elections, starting with the concluded presidential and parliamentary elections. I urge all candidates, their agents, their supporters, to put Uganda first in all their decision-making and actions before, during, and after elections. Where any stakeholder may not be satisfied with any processes leading to the elections or the outcome of the said elections, we want to encourage you that there are adequate laws in this land that provide the avenue for addressing any such concerns or grievances. Furthermore, we want you to ensure that this responsible conduct is upheld during the forthcoming local government council elections, including the special interest groups elections to the respective local government councils and the parliament that are scheduled, as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, on the designated dates which I wish to point out. Although we are here to declare the results for the presidential elections, the local government elections have not yet been held. They are to take place within these first 30 days, that is between the 15th of January and 6th of February, and most importantly, they are part and parcel of the elections that are stipulated in Article 61, Clause 2. Elections for president, members of parliament, those ones took place on the 15th. On the 19th of January, there will be a national conference for election of workers' representatives to parliament. On the 20th of January, there will be election of councillors representing special interest groups, that is youth, older persons, and persons with disabilities at municipality or city division level. Election of councillors representing special interest groups, that is youth, older persons, workers, and PWDs at district or city level will take place on the 21st of January this year. Elections of district local government councils, that is district stroke city chairpersons, Lord Mayor, mayors, and councillors, 27th January. Regional conferences for election of regional youth representatives to parliament, 28th of January. National conference for election of national female older persons representative to parliament, 28th January. Army Council meeting for election of UPDF representatives to parliament, 28th of January. Election of councillors representing special interest groups at sub-county or town or municipal division level, 30th of January. Regional conference for election of older persons representatives to parliament, 2nd of February. National conference for election of persons with disabilities representatives to parliament, 3rd February. Elections of sub-county, stroke town, stroke municipal division chairpersons and councillors, 4th of February. National conference for election of national female youth representatives to parliament, 6th February. After this round of elections, the elections provided for under Article 61 Clause 2 will have been concluded or held within the stipulated time frames. The Electoral Commission wishes also to appreciate the government of the Republic of Uganda for fulfilling its obligation in financing the entire election budget. I wish to remind the country that these grounds where we are will house the permanent home of the Electoral Commission. We are therefore very grateful to the government of Uganda for the partnership with the National Housing Corporation, with whom we have worked tirelessly to have successful nominations of presidential candidates and now the National Tally Center on these grounds. We would like to use this opportunity to appeal to government, provide all the necessary funding to develop this permanent home to completion, and pray that by the next round of general elections, which are in 2031, there will be a permanent home of the Commission on these grounds. Let me say this to the people of Uganda. Presidential parliamentary elections are over. The local government elections are coming, they will soon be over. I wish to appeal to all Ugandans of whatever class or level in society that let us now focus on that which is far greater than elections. And that is our country, Uganda. Let us all be united in the quest and desire for a better Uganda that we can all live in unity, in harmony, and in peace. Let the victors not be so exuberant in their celebrations to the chagrin of the losers. And let the losers take their defeat with acceptance and know there is another day for another attempt. The Commission will now proceed to declare the results of the presidential elections in accordance with Section 59 of the Presidential Elections Act, and undertakes to share the detailed results with the stakeholders. I thank you for listening to me. This is the final declaration of the presidential results. In accordance with Article 103, Clause 7 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda and Section 59 of the Presidential Elections Act. Whereas the presidential election was held on the 15th of January 2026, at which the candidates were Bulira Frank Kabinga, Kasivante Robert, Kyagulanyi Sentamu Robert, Mabirizi Joseph, Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera, Munyagwa Mubarak Serunga, Nandala Mafabi James Nathan, Yoweri Tuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni. And whereas polling for the presidential elections closed at 5 p.m. on the 15th day of January 2026, and whereas the Electoral Commission has ascertained the results of the presidential elections, now therefore, in exercise of the powers conferred upon the Commission by Article 103, Clause 7 of the Constitution and Section 59 of the Presidential Elections Act, the Commission publishes and declares the results of the presidential elections as follows. Bulira Frank Kabinga, 45,959 votes. I repeat, Bulira Frank Kabinga, 45,959 votes. Kasvante Robert, 33,440. Kasvante Robert, 33,440. Kyagulanyi Sentamu Robert, 2,741,238. Kyagulanyi Sentamu Robert, 2,741,238 votes. Mabirizi Joseph, 23,458. Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera, 59,276. I repeat, Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera, 59,276 votes. Munyagwa Mubarak Serunga, 31,666 votes. Munyagwa Mubarak Serunga, I repeat, 31,666 votes. Nandala Mafabi James Nathan, 209,039 votes. 209,039 votes. Yoweri Tuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni, 7,946,772. I repeat, Yoweri Tuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni, 7,946,772 votes. Total number of invalid votes cast is 275,353. Total number of invalid votes cast, 275,353, amounting to 2.42% of the votes cast. Total number of votes cast is 11,366,201. I repeat, total number of votes cast is 11,366,201, amounting to 52.50% of the registered voters. Now, therefore, candidate Yoweri Tuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni, having obtained the highest number of votes in the election and the votes cast in his favor being more than 50% of the valid votes cast at the election, the Commission hereby declares the elected president declares candidate Yoweri Tuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni the duly elected president of the Republic of Uganda at the presidential elections held on the 15th day of January 2026 for the next 5 years. I remain I, together with my colleagues, Justice Byabakama Mugenyi Simon, Chairperson, Hajat Aisha Lubega Basajja Naku Lubega, Deputy Chairperson, Honorable Tashiba Stephen, Commissioner, Emerald Peter James, Commissioner, Dr. Kayunga Sali Simba, Commissioner, Honorable Okelo Anthony, Commissioner, Baine Mario, Bright Caroline, Commissioner, Richard Babo Kamgisha, Secretary, hereby append our signatures to say the results. Percentage. What is the percentage? All right. Maybe people asking for the percentage of the votes scored by each candidate. Bulira Frank Kavinga, his total votes amount to 0.41%. Kasivante Robert, 0.30%. Kyagulanyi Sentam Robert, 24.72%. Mabirizi Joseph, 0.21%. Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera, 0.53%. Munyagwa Mubarak Serunga, 0.29%. Nandana Mafabi James Nathan, 1.88%. Yoweri Tuhaburo Kaguta Museveni, 71.65%. Okay, you can be signing this. Okay. Will you please hold on? The proceedings are still going on. There's one act that the Commission has to conduct, and that is to avail a copy of the declaration to the winning candidate. Please, can you hold on? Hold your peace, hold your peace, hold your peace. There is time for everything. The time for you to jubilate and celebrate and dance and sing will come. Just hold your peace. Thank you.
We are at the National Tallying Center where the Electoral Commission has given its final verdict over the presidency of the Republic of Uganda. The Electoral Commission chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama, having congratulated all Ugandans, and we're referring to 21.6 million Ugandans who intended to vote by appearing and confirming their voting status on the National Voters Register, and also over the 11 million Ugandans that eventually came out to the polls and cast their ballot. And he has congratulated them on a successful conclusion of the 2026 general elections. And then we also do get to look at some of the markers of this particular election 2026. It's coming at the epitome of 30 years of the 1995 Constitution that gave the Electoral Commission the mandate to conduct Uganda's elections, and they have conducted elections for Uganda from 1996 to 2001. Then came 2006, and then there was the election cycle of 2011, which was followed by the cycle of 2016, and then 2021 and 2026. Unique to note that all of these cycles up to 2021 having been by Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The bedrock of Article 1 of the Constitution, the 1995 Constitution, that states that all power belongs to the people, giving them the mandate and the power to choose their democratic leaders. The Electoral Commission 2026 elections roadmap having been launched in 2023, and Justice Simon Byabakama coming out to allude to the fact that as a commission, they have done their very best, their due diligence to follow through with the election roadmap that we had shared with you earlier on and see it through to the end. But also reminding Ugandans that this is not the end. This simply marks the end of the presidential elections for 2026. It also marks the end of parliamentary elections for 2026. But you do have local government elections and special interest groups elections that will be coming up in the following days between January and February 2026. The Electoral Commission chairperson also extended appreciation for all stakeholders for abiding by the Electoral Commission rules and regulations, particularly the candidates that were involved. And he was speaking to the 8 candidates that have been on the 2026 ballot paper, and that is the 8 men whom he has shared with us the final verdict and their effect on the presidency. And then, of course, through the remaining elections to be conducted at designated dates, the Electoral Commission reminding the public to ensure that they participate in those election cycles. To where we stand right now, what is happening at the Electoral Commission National Tallying Center, you do have the commission handing over the declared results to each of the candidates. Now, speaking of these results, you do have Bolira Frank for the Revolutionary People's Party that has finally garnered 45,959 votes, which now puts him at 0.41%, and that is the final verdict of the Electoral Commission. Kasibante Robert of the National Peasants Party, who's appearing for the first time on the presidency, has garnered 33,440 votes, and this puts him at 0.30%. Robert Chagulani Sentamu of the National Unity Platform has garnered 2,741,238 votes, and this is now leaving him at a percentage of 24.72%. Joseph Mabirizi from the Conservative Party, appearing on the second time as a presidential candidate, first having appeared in 2016, is now having officially garnered 23,458 votes, giving him 0.21%. Mugisha Muntu Gregory for the Alliance for National Transformation, also first appearing on the presidential ballot back in 2021. Now this is his second term running for presidency, and he has garnered 59,276 votes, giving him 0.53%. You do have Mubarak Munyagwa, who is a new new presidential candidate on the ballot, as well as having a political party that is new in participating in elections. That's the Common Man's Party, and he has garnered 31,666 votes, which has pitted him at 0.29%. Nandala Mafabi has also been part of the race on the Forum for Democratic Change ticket, and he has garnered 209,039 votes, now putting him at 1.88% of the vote percentage. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has garnered 7,946,772 votes, and he has a percentage of 71.61%, thereby giving the Electoral Commission the powers conferred to it by the Constitution, the 1995 Constitution, to declare the president-elect of the country, and candidate Museveni having garnered 7,946,772 votes and giving him 71.6% of the votes that have been tallied. This puts him over the 50% mark that is required by rules and regulations of our elections as to be declared as the candidate winning the election. And therefore, candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has been declared by the Electoral Commission chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama, as the President of the Republic of Uganda. And now he is President-elect. Congratulations to President-elect Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and congratulations to the National Resistance Movement. Performance of the presidential candidates by and large throughout the course of this electoral cycle. Now, just to give you a brief background of each of the candidates, the president-elect Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, this has been his 7th term running, and that is in consideration of the 1995 Constitution. But if we were to also add the 1980 presidential bid, then this would be his 8th term incumbent, and we get to look at his positioning throughout this electoral cycle that has been about protecting gains, mainly looking at continuity, looking at stability and delivery of state-led development, all being anchored in his long incumbency and the NRM's government record. He has been described as having won every election since 1996 after his first contest in 1980. When you look to the Blessing Deep ruling party infrastructure has contributed to his positioning in Uganda's politics, democracy and long governance. The incumbency advantages also adding to that, and the entrenched local government networks, strongest where NRM structures and patronage networks are most intact. When you look to the strengths of the candidate and now President-elect Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, he has been commanding organizational reach, agenda-setting power, ability to dominate news cycles through state activity and public works messaging. Of course, without a doubt, there's been some constraints and vulnerabilities that have been registered by this candidate. One is the rising change fatigue, this fatigue coming in from the younger demography that are wanting to see another president, many of them having been born after 1986 and never have seen another president. And so the change fatigue, or the fatigue of having seen one president for over 35 years as they're entering into their 40 years as NRM, has been quite a very interesting dynamic for the NRM and candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to navigate around. And now the issue that has been of concern for him to address in terms of protecting the gains is the youth unemployment and cost of living pressures. That has also been one of the subject matters that he has been having to address on top of the infrastructure developments that he has been either promising to different constituencies or different communities and sub-regions, but there's also the cost of living pressures, to which he has continuously echoed the fact that through the PDM program, under the current term, you do have the NRM government trying their level best through the PDM program to manage the cost of living pressures. Then there's also the persistent criticism around constitutional changes, and we're talking about from term limits in 2005 into 7, and then there was also the Tojikwatako in 2017 that led to a very interesting trajectory. The term limit in which constitutionally a president was then only limited to 2 terms of presidency, then hand over power, those having been taken away by a vote through the legislative house, now giving candidate and President Museveni the leeway to run for as many terms as possible. And so in 2007, when he came out to say that that would be his last running term, people were quite shocked when he returned in 2011. And so that's where things are standing right now. President-elect Yoweri Tibuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni for the Republic of Uganda. Now I'm being joined by political analyst Timothy Kariegira, who's giving us a perspective and really, at the end of the day, framing for us as a country. We have voted, Timothy. Uganda has decided, and President-elect is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And now he earns himself a 7th term and an 8th term, if depending on, actually 8th term and 9th term. Good evening to you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What am I supposed to say?
Well, your reactions to the Electoral Commission's declarations, first of all.
Well, I've got hours of reaction. Just ask me a specific question because I don't know where would I begin. I mean, it's...
What have been the contributing factors to the candidate or now President-elect's win?
Well, the fact of incumbency is the one I would take. And the fact that everything from the Electoral Commission to the security services to the judiciary is basically fused with the ruling NRM, hence that result. To put it that simply. Yes.
There has been also a very interesting debate among the people, one that was reflecting on the campaign trail, looking at the numbers that were being pulled by the National Unity Platform candidate versus the results that have been declared by the Electoral Commission. Those two not tallying, and then there's also been grievances between from polling day and now that the results for the runner-up, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, equally not as many as had been expected across the country.
Well, I guess I could just put this to the viewers of this program, wherever they are all over the country. It's just been about, 15 minutes or 20 since the results were announced. And this looks like a clear landslide. I mean, 7 million is a very large number of votes. So let's put this to the test. Wherever you are in Uganda, if you're in Mbale, if you're in Kisoro, if you're in Mbarara, if you're in Jinja, Iganga, Kamuli, Entebbe, Kampala, Central, what's the reaction? What do you hear there? Silence. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if you can work this out. In other words, usually when a landslide like this is announced, there's this eruption of celebration and everything, but just wherever you are, just watch it. Just step out of your house or the building or office or shop, and what do you hear? Is there celebration, cheering? No. So I guess that's a hint at what it should be like. I mean, we're here at NTV. This is Central Kampala. We knew yesterday that the MP elect for Central Kampala is from the ruling NRM party. And once again, walk through Central Kampala, and what's the mood like? Silence, like when COVID-19 lockdown. So in other words, the question I'm asking is, where is this victory coming from that we don't hear reflected in spontaneous eruptions of celebration across the country? I mean, for such a high number. So I leave that to the viewers to make up their minds about the accuracy of the results. Should I say it that way?
All right. Timothy, draw us the distinctions that have led to President-elect Yoweri Kaguta Museveni retaining power through the election cycles post the 1995 Constitution.
The things that about this immediate result, as I said, it's very difficult for someone like me to take at face value what the Electoral Commission announces. I mean, I'm used to this, America, European system where, there's no central authority, central state authority announces results. These results, as you know, are usually called by the television networks as CNN's ABC, NBC. And even before final official results announced, and sometimes people are considering and calling each other. So this very centralized system where one of the players is in charge of the whole planning team, the referees, the linesmen, the VAR system. It's one that's very hard to explain and discuss. I don't know what to say. The question I'd like to ask is, how do we tell what is a truly free and fair election in a system like this? Mm-hmm. That's just another question I'm putting out there. And that's what I'm trying to say. We can put this 71% to the test. And I guess people will start calling later or get in touch with the media and say, where we are is we understand this was a great victory, but how come it's all silence around the country, or at least in most of the country? So that answers the question you asked me about the large crowds you saw by the National Unity Party's presidential candidate, and or to turn the question around another way, let's just imagine theoretically that what the person who was Bobi Wine had been announced the winner. Can you picture what will be going on around the country, starting with Kampala right now? Just the announcement of Bobi Wine as the winner. So that's telling you things that is just too complicated to get into in short term. But as I say, it's this expected story. It is when, as I say, if you're going to play in a sporting tournament and every official of the match plus the technology is under your control, then really it's I don't know what to say. It's just that predictable. I don't know what to analyze about something so predictable. The entire, Electoral Commission is almost handpicked by one of the players, and it's a result and all of us could have forecast even 10, 15 years ago. Nothing new, no surprise, no upset, and just that, really.
Okay, all right. Timothy, talk to us about the rising change fatigue that is amongst the population, because if he's having to run another 5 terms and we don't have term limits, Lord knows how long he's going to be in power. And yet we continue to see people, as you said earlier on, that with this announcement, you would be expecting right now a lot of ululation. There's a lot of celebration. There's a lot of breakout of song, appreciating what the Electoral Commission has done for the candidate. But we're not hearing that sound. That is translated into fatigue. How does the president-elect deal with that fatigue for the next 5 years?
Well, to answer you directly, that lack of the ululation, the sound, is telling you what really happened. And because of that deafening silence, we will enter what in Ugandan history we call a kind of Obote II. 1980, the UPC presidential candidate Milton Obote is announced the winner. And there's this awkwardness in the country. There's all sorts of allegations.
Timothy, allow me to also interact with the pictures that are running as you give us your analysis. What we have in the pictures is Justice Simon Byabakama handing over the declared results to each of the agents of the 8 candidates that appeared in the 2026 presidential race. And so each one of the agents is receiving the official results from the Electoral Commission's declaration. Yes, Timothy, please continue.
Yes, as I was saying that what's going to happen now, let's say immediately now, between now and let's say sunset, is going to be the same mood we feel around the country. I don't know if people have been going around, at least Kampala and other towns. And, last night I was telling one of these people in the street, I said, this is very much like the first 2 weeks of the 2020 COVID-19 lockdown. Empty streets, more cars than people, most shops locked and everything. So obviously the state is going to watch out for what you'd call the troublemakers. What's going to be the reaction by some people? Will there be protests? If so, how large, or will there not be protests? if there is this silence and it continues deep into the night, like what we saw in 2006, then the question will still be, that still sounds unnatural, so we'll continue with the police and the military patrols. The internet will remain off, I think, just for caution's sake until maybe mid-morning Monday at the earliest. I don't know if that means we'll go for another 5 years with a ban on Facebook, but well, let's just watch this. So it's going to be a case where the state will be watchful for what the population feels and how they take this. And if there's a suspicion or feeling that there's a lot of resentment on the losing side, then we're going to go into almost like an unextended, informal, semi-police state, constant patrols, opposition activists or former candidates being picked up, and that sort of thing. The media having to be extremely careful what they report and how they report it, and who they invite for as an analyst, and so that's, I would expect, will be the result.
Okay, all right. Now, on that note, returning to the pictures at the National Talent Center, where we are seeing Justice Simon Byabakama closing the day, having officially declared the winner of the presidential election 2020.
Of the present and the future, that this occasion, this very important exercise took place here at the Electoral Commission grounds in Rweza. So that is a photo that and protocol is going to guide on the standing arrangement. This is a very historic photo. The first National Talent Center at the Electoral Commission grounds here in Rubowa, at Rubowa Rweza, marking the Sabagabo. That will grace the records of the present and the future, that this very